general fund revenues. However, this version now adds that the PEIA Director and Finance Board may only use revenue estimates from the governor as necessary to maintain an actuarially recommended reserve fund and to maintain previous cost-sharing percentages as required in this article, and that will be the 80-20 split. This version also adds that the PEIA Director and Finance Board may not incorporate revenue sources into the Finance Board plan beyond the premium cost-sharing percentages 80-20 as required in this article. Also, this version retains Section 5A of the code, which is a vested subsidy for the cost of coverage for employees who retired and were hired before July 1 of 2010. On page 25 in Section 7, it retains the requirement of employer-paid group life and accidental death insurance and the amount of $10,000 for every employee. That it was a change that works the provisions of Senate Bill 520 into this bill. On page 35 in Section 8, it updates language concerning the wellness program. That includes changes proposed by PEIA and streamlines the section. In Section 13, on pages 45 and 46, that is the language that deals with the employee's spouse that has health insurance available, where the spouse could only be covered if the actuarial value of the plan is paid. It clarifies that this coverage prohibition does not apply to spouses of retired employees. That was an amendment that was made during the last meeting to just clarify that. It also clarifies that for spousal premium coverage by the employer, these provisions do not apply to voluntary employers pursuant to Section 22 of this code, and those are the non-state agencies and boards and cities and so forth. Lastly, well, on the last page, it clarifies that PA shall return to a level of 80% for the employer and 20% for employees during the fiscal year 2024, given that not 2023. It also deletes language that required PEIA by July 1, 2023 to assess an administrative fee on all employers defined in Section 2 of the code. And I spoke with PEIA. They feel that they would have the authority to do so regardless of that language. It slightly modifies Section 31 on the last page to provide that PEIA shall conduct an independent actuarial study, just adding the word independent. And it requires PEIA to seek input from public employees, retirees, providers, and other interested parties on solutions to evaluate in the study that this bill mandates. This actuarial study shall begin on or before July 1st of this year, and a report on this study shall be presented to the Joint Committee on Government and Finance on or before July 1 of 2024. Lastly, it corrects plain language in Section 32 to provide that amendments that we're implementing with this bill must be incorporated into the plan beginning with plan year 2024, and that plan year actually starts July 1st of this year. So it's a clarification as to that language. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Counsel. Questions of Counsel. Senior Senator from the 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Just to clarify that on page 56, Section 30, what you're referring to is it goes into effect starting July 1, but it's for the fiscal year 2024, correct?
Correct.
So the clarification is that we have to meet the 80/20 by that time.
Correct.
Okay.
That's my reading.
All right, thank you.
Further questions of council? Any discussion? Any amendments? Hearing no further amendments, the question is on agreeing to the language of the proposed committee substitute for the committee substitute. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. The committee substitute for the committee substitute is agreed to. Chair now recognizes the vice chair.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 268 be reported to the full Senate Finance Committee with recommendation that it do pass.
You've heard the motion. The question is the motion on that the committee substitute for Senate Bill 268 be reported to the full Senate Finance Committee with a recommendation that it do pass. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 268 will be reported. To those in attendance, I think it's Finance Committee's intention to take this up at our 3 o'clock meeting for the full committee. So lots of interest, so we hope that you'll stay around for the rest of the day. So, Vice Chair, I'll recognize the Vice Chair for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move we adjourn.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. We're adjourned.